Hello everyone, welcome to Ansarkari. So the questions that we'll be dealing with today are in relation to the topic of ratio and proportion. And these two questions will help us to have a much better understanding of ratio and what the questions are asking us. So starting with the first question, this question says that rupees 900 is divided among A, B, and C, and the division is such that half of A's money is equal to one third of B's money, which is in turn equal to one fourth of C's money. Find the amount again in rupees because this value is also given in rupees received by A, B, and C. So just the ratio is given. Ratio in which we are dividing this particular amount in these three members. And now we need to find out the exact amount and not the ratio. This is the thing that the question is asking. So first we write down the relation like 1 upon 2 of A's money. So I just write A. Of means multiply like A ka adha. So half of A will be equal to one third of B's money as it is mentioned here and one fourth of C's money. Since they all are equal, what I can do is I can put them equal to a quantity that is K. So K is the number and these are all just the relations between them. So in order to simplify and get the direct relation of the ratio between A, B and C, I will substitute or perhaps shift the values and hence if I put 1 upon 2A equal to K, I will get that K, 2K is equal to A because 2 will shift here and it will get multiplied with since here it is dividing A, right? So this is the first relation. Similarly, if I write 1 upon 3b equals to k, since it is equal to k, I will get 3k is equal to b. And for the case of c, it will be 4k equals to c, as the relation is mentioned here. Why we are doing this is in order to simplify the question, because in one variable, it becomes very easy for us to compare these quantities. And now I can directly write, since I know that the unit is same and the rest part is just the numbers that I left, right? 2, 3, and 4. And the unit is same, k. K can be any number. It can be 1, 2, 3, 4. The ratio will remain the same no matter what is the value of k. So I'll just focus on the numbers which will be our given ratio for these particular entities. So directly the answer is here that the ratio will be equal to 2 ratio 3 ratio 4. And now since they are asking the amount in rupees received by all these three, these are all just the units, the simplified units that we have. So we add them. 4 plus 2 is equal to 6 plus 6 is equal to 9. So it means that 9 units is equal to rupees 900. So 1 unit will be equal to 900 divided by 9, which means it will be equal to 100 rupees. Now they're asking total amount received by them. So we'll multiply these units by the actual amount. So 4 into 100 is equal to 400. 3 into 100 is equal to rupees 300. Right? And 2 into 100, 100 is equal to 200. So these will be the respective amounts as we have followed in the previous questions. This will be the answer. The rest of the question is very simple. Just the tricky or the main part of this question was to convert these particular values. Like they are written in this particular form of fraction. We need to compare them and then we need to convert them into this particular form that we have dealt. Now this was the short and basic method that I explained. There is another method also just to solve the same question. Again, we have discussed this before as well, just revising once. So 1 upon 2a. So we can take two things at a particular time. So I can take 1 upon 2 is equal to 1 upon 3b, which means that a upon 2 is equal to b upon 3. I'm sorry. Okay. And so I can write in the form 3a is equal to 2b. Again, we discussed this type of form and how do we convert it. So I can write A upon B is equal to 2 upon 3 directly. This will be the ratio of A to B. Same for the case of C and B we can do. For example, B upon C will be equal to 3 upon 4. This will be the given ratio. And now in order to convert these, I can write here A, B, C, or perhaps to find a direct relation. So A ratio B is 2 ratio 3 and B ratio C is 3 ratio 4. Since this particular part that is common, that is B, is same, we need not multiply it with any number because obviously we need to find out the ratio in the basic form. And we multiply so as to make these two numbers equal. But here, these two numbers or units are same in both the sets of ratios. So we'll directly write it and this will be our answer. Then following this, we just received the same ratio that we received in the by the previous method. And so we arrive on the same answer, that is rupees 200, 300 and 400 respectively are received by A, B and C. Now moving on to the next question. This question is also very important in order to understand the concept and how do we proceed with these particular questions. So a person distributes his pens among 4 friends, A, B, C, and D in the ratio 1 upon 3, 1 upon 4, 1 upon 5, and 1 upon 6. See, what is important to understand is that a given ratio is the ratio in which the person distributes the pens, which means that if A receives 1 upon 3, it is a particular quantity of pen, then B will receive 1 upon 4. So ratio is always in a relation that we have been discussing till now. And since obviously 1 upon third of a pen is nothing. A pen is a whole quantity, like basic pen that what's one by is considered as 1, right? Because pens cannot be in half, 1/3 or 1/4 of quantity, which is the reason why it becomes much more necessary for us to convert the denominators to perhaps just remove the denominators and convert these fractions into whole numbers, into simple whole numbers, so that we can compare and we can calculate the minimum number of pens that the person should have in order to distribute them in this particular ratio. For example, if D is getting 1 upon 6 pens, then C should get 1 upon 5 pens. Right, this is the whole concept of this particular ratio and what ratio means in this particular question. So we just focus on the quantity and the ratio that is given to us, and we'll write A, B, C, and D. So we'll write 1 upon 3 here, 1 upon 4 here, 1 upon 5, and 1 upon 6 here. In the previous questions as well, we have been proceeding with the same method. We always remove the denominator so that the questions become much more easier, and hence we can move on with it further to calculate the actual numbers. In this case also we'll do the same as in the rest cases we used to find out the least common multiple of denominators. We'll now find out the least common multiple of 3, 4, 5 and 6. Again, the method to find out least common multiple is we start by the smallest number, that is smallest prime number, that is 2. I write 3 here, I copy 5, I write 2 here, I copy 3. Again, 1, 2 is left, so we'll again go with 2. Then we have 5, 3, 3. So now we proceed with 3. So it gives us 1, 1, 1, and 5 is still left. So I write 5, so it means 1, 1, 1, and 1. Right? So when you multiply all these numbers, that is 15 into 4, it gives us 60, which means that 60 is the least common multiple of these particular numbers. We are getting least common multiple so that all these denominators they get cancelled by the basic value. Because here also it is asked what is the minimum number of pens. If we multiply LCM by any particular number and we get multiples of 60, for example 120, 180, then the minimum number of pens will change. So again, I'll explain this particular question with another part also, but let us focus on this part right now. So I'll multiply all these numbers by 60, all these fractions by 60. And when I multiply 1/3 by 60, I get 20. When I multiply 1/4 by 60, I get 1 and then 5, which is 15. When I multiply 1/5 by 60, or when I divide 60 by 5, I get 12. And on multiplying 1/6 into 60, I get 10, which means these are the basic ratios or the basic number of pens जिसमें the person has to distribute them. Below it, the number of pens will not be such, they'll come in decimal. Like, and you cannot give half of a pen, you cannot give 3/2 of a pen. It's whole numbers, right? So when we add these all, the number of pens given to A is 20, number of pens given to B is 15, number of pens given to C is 12, and number of pens given to D is 10. This is the ratio in which the pens are distributed. कि अगर A को 20 मिल रहे हैं तो B will get 15, right? So these are the particular ratios that I mentioned here, and when we add these, the quantities, we will get 57. So 57 will be the answer to this particular question. Now, the another way to understand this particular same thing is, since I can write a 1/3 is the number of pens that A is getting. Suppose the ratio is such that this is the number of pens. To simplify it, I can write here 1/3 multiplied by 6 perhaps. And if I multiply this, I get 2. Now 2 is such a number I can give 2 pens, right? So it works well. But since to keep the proportion of all the ratios of A, B, C, and D, if I multiply 1/3 by 6, I also need to multiply 1/4 by 6. Pretty obvious since I've been doing this since long. When I multiply this, here I get 3/2. Again, this number is not a whole number, it is a fraction. If I convert it into decimal form, it becomes 1.5. When I divide 3 by 2, I get 1.5. If we compare these two numbers by 20 and 15, we can directly see that if I multiply 2 by 10 and 15 by 10, I get here 20 and here I get 15. Same will be the case for 1/5. If I multiply 1/5 by 6, I get 6/5. And when I divide, I get 1. When I divide 6 by 5, get 1/2. I get 1.2. And again, if I multiply this by 10, I get 12 only. So the ratio remains the same. Right now, I just took a random number that is 6. I could have taken any other number. That is the reason why we are taking a number that is least common multiple here, so that the numbers that are here are not in decimal form. I've explained this question in very detail. I hope you understood. The main thing to understand is that the ratio is given here, as in the previous question as well, is the ratio in which the things are being divided among these entities. For example, here they are these 4 friends. तो अगर एक को इतने मिल रहे तो दूसरे को इतने मिल रहे, which in turn leads to the conclusion that ratio is equal to relation. It basically relates, it compares. Okay, if so and so person is getting this much, then how much will the other person get? That is all about ratio. And that's all for today's video. Thank you.